Hi there everyone, Ryan here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to build a yearly habit tracker in Google Sheets. With this tracker, you mark each day that you want to count towards your habits, and then you simply mark each habit as you complete it. And what's nice is that you can do this for each and every month of the year. Plus, once you've started tracking your habits, you can take a look at the dashboard page to view your overall performance. You will be able to view the performance of each habit for any selected month, or you can view the yearly performance of all habits by leaving the month selection blank. And over to the right, you can select a specific habit to view the individual month percentages for that habit. Or you can leave the selection blank to view the month numbers for all habits. Alright, now that you know what you're building, let's get to it. We will be starting with a blank Google Sheets spreadsheet. Okie dokie, the first thing that we will do is create the general layout for the worksheets. Begin by selecting here to select all of the cells. Adjust the vertical alignment to middle, and adjust the horizontal alignment to center. Next, select column A, right-click, resize column, set the size to 50, and click OK. Select column B and set the horizontal alignment to left. Then select row 1, right-click, resize row, set the size to 40, and click OK. Now, with row 1 still selected, go ahead and add in a purple fill color or another color of your choice. Also, change the font color to white, increase the font size to 14, and bold the text. Finally, turn off the grid lines by going to View, Show, Uncheck Grid Lines. At this point, we are finished with the worksheet structure. So go ahead and make a copy of this worksheet by right-clicking on the Worksheet tab and select Duplicate. Then rename the new worksheet by double-clicking, type in Jan, and press Enter. From here, we will build the tracker worksheet for January, and then we will copy the worksheet 11 times for all of the other months. This way, we don't have to recreate the tracker 12 times in a row. That said, we need to add some extra columns to this worksheet. To do this, select columns C through K, right-click, and insert 9 columns to the right. Next, select columns C through AI, right-click, resize columns, set the size to 35, and click OK. Awesome. Now let's add some formatting to give this worksheet more structure. Select the range B5 through AG15, then click the Borders button here, change the border color to gray, and apply all borders. Now select C4 through AG4, click the Borders button, and apply all borders. Finally, select the range B19 through D29, click the Borders button, and apply all borders. Great. Now let's add in some fill color. Select the range B20 through B29, click the Fill Color button, and add this light gray fill color. Then select B19 through D19, add a light gray fill color, and also bold the font. Now select B6 through B15 and add a light gray fill color. Then select B5 through AG5, add a light gray fill color, and bold the font. Okay, it's starting to come together. Our next move will be to add in the headings and some checkboxes. Starting in cell B5, type in Habits. Then in cell C5, type in 1, and in D5, type in 2. Now select C5 and D5 and use the fill handle to complete the number series through cell AG5. Next, select cell B19 and type in habits. Then type Y into cell C19 and N into cell D19. Nice. Now for the checkboxes. Select the range C6 through AG15. Then go to Insert Checkbox. Select C4 through AG4 next, and go to Insert Checkbox. Let's give some color to these checkboxes to add some style. With C4 through AG4 still selected, change the font color to purple or another color of your choice. The font color is what controls the color of the checkboxes. Now, for the other set of checkboxes, select C6 through AG15 and change the font color to a lighter purple or again a color of your choice. Awesome. Now we just need the formulas. But before we add in the formulas, we need to create the starting list of habits first. So go ahead and create another copy of Sheet 1. Right-click on the Sheet 1 tab and select Duplicate. Then rename the new sheet to Setup. Now on the Setup sheet, select B1 and type in Setup as the title for this worksheet. Next, select the range B4 through B14, click the Borders button, and add all borders. Now select B4, add a light gray fill color, bold the text, and type in Habit List. In the cells below, you can now type in the 10 habits that you want to track. And this is going to be the place where you can rename your habits if you ever want to. That said, let's jump back to the January worksheet. Once you're there, select cell B6 and enter the following formula. Equals, select the Setup tab, select cell B5, and press Enter. This will give you your first listed habit. Now to help remind me that this value is generated by a formula, I like to give it some color. You don't have to do this, of course, but I like to do it because it helps me keep things organized. That said, you can add some color by changing the font color of cell B6 to purple or a color of your choice. Awesome. Now we can copy the formula in formatting by selecting B6 and use the fill handle to copy everything down to cell B15. Nice. Next, reselect cell B6 and use Ctrl-C to copy. Then select cell B20 and use Ctrl-V to paste. Now you will notice that the cell looks blank. That's because the reference changed since it's a relative reference. Or in other words, there are no dollar signs in this reference. That's okay though. We can fix this by changing the row number of the reference back to 5 like so. And now we have the first habit once again. You can finish the rest by selecting B20 and use the fill handle to copy the formula down to cell B29. Fantastic. Now we just need the formulas for the yes and no counts. But before we write these formulas, let's add in some sample data by clicking a few of the checkboxes. Okay, great. By the way, since I am located in the US, the comma is used as the argument separator for my functions in Google Sheets. Depending on where you live, it might be a semicolon instead. Just something to keep in mind as we move forward. If the comma isn't working for you, your argument separator might be a semicolon instead. That said, let's write these formulas. Starting in cell C20, enter the following formula. Equals, countifs function, and select the range C4 through AG4. Then press F4 on your keyboard to turn this into an absolute reference. Then add a comma to move to the next argument. Next, enter true and add a comma. Now select C6 through AG6. Then press F4 3 times to turn this into a mixed reference with a $ only behind the column letters. Then add a comma, enter true, close parentheses, and press enter. Awesome. Let's go ahead and add some color to cell C20 to remind ourselves that this is a formula. So select cell C20 and change the font color accordingly. Nice. Now you can copy the formula by using the fill handle and extend it to cell C29. Then select cell C20 again and use the fill handle to copy the formula to the right. Now, we do have to make a small change to the formula in cell D20. Up in the formula bar, change the last true value to false instead. Then, once you've made the change, use the fill handle to copy the formula down to cell D29. Great. All that's left now is to select cell B1 and type in January. Okay, now that we are done with the tracking worksheet, we just need to make 11 copies for the other months of the year. But before we do, go ahead and uncheck all of the checkboxes so we are not copying the sample data over and over again. Okay, once you have all the checkboxes unchecked, it's time to copy the worksheet. We will do this one step at a time. Start by right-clicking on the January tab and select Duplicate. Then, on a new worksheet, change January to February. Also, since there are only ever a maximum of 29 days in February, you can select columns AF and AG, right-click, and delete them. Don't forget to also rename the sheet tab to FEB. Nice. Now, for the rest of the months, we just repeat this process. Right-click on the January tab, select Duplicate, move the tab to the end, rename the tab to MAR, then change January to March, and since there are 31 days in March, you don't need to delete any of the columns. Next is April, so right-click on the January tab and select Duplicate. Move the new tab to the end, rename it to APR, change January to April, and remove column AG since there are only 30 days in April. Awesome. Now, for the sake of the video, I'm going to let you go ahead and do the rest of the months on your own. Just follow this exact same process. And for those that are curious, here are the number of days in each month. Alright, once you're finished, your final setup should look something like this with all 12 month tabs created. At this point, we want to create another worksheet where we will store all of the numbers and calculations that will power the dashboard. So let's first right-click on the Sheet 1 tab and select Duplicate. Then change the new tab name to Summary. And after that, select cell B1 on the Summary tab and type in Summary to give this worksheet a title. Awesome. Now, before we write any of the formulas, let's set up the structure and formatting. Select columns C through P, right-click, resize columns, change the size to 60, and click OK. Also, select column R, right-click, resize columns, change the size to 60, and click OK. Now, select the range B4 through O14, then click the Borders button and apply all borders. Now select the range B15 through N15, click the Borders button, and apply all borders. Okay, select the range Q4 through Q14 next, and apply the same borders. Then select S4 through T16 and apply the same borders. Great. Let's add some fill color next. Select the range B4 through O4, add a light gray fill color, and bold the text. Select B15 next, add a light gray fill, and bold the text. Select Q4, add a light gray fill, and bold the text. Then select S4 and T4, add a light gray fill, and bold the text. Nice. From here, select cell C4 next and type in JAN. Then use the fill handle to extend this list to cell N4. Then in cell O4, type in total. And in cell B15, type in total. Finally, select B4 through O15, use Ctrl-C to copy, select B17, use Ctrl-V to paste, then select B30 and use Ctrl-V to paste. For the finishing touch, select B4, type in %, select B17, type in yes, select B30, type in no, select Q4, type in dashboard, select S4, type in month, then select T4 and type in dashboard. Awesome. The structure is good to go, so now we just need to add in the formulas. Let's begin with the formula in cell C18. This is going to be a long one, so feel free to rewind the video and review this formula to make sure that you've got it right. That said, enter the following formula into cell C18. Equals HStack function, select the January tab, select cell C20, add a comma, select the February tab, select cell C20, add a comma, select the March tab, select cell C20, add a comma, then the April tab, select C20, add a comma, then the May tab, select C20, add a comma, then the June tab, select C20, add a comma, then the July tab, select C20, add a comma, then the August tab, select C20, add a comma, then the September tab, select C20, add a comma, then the October tab, select C20, add a comma, then the November tab, select C20 and add a comma, and finally the December tab, select C20, close parentheses, and press enter. You should now have values in C18 all the way to N18. And if your spreadsheet doesn't look like this, go back and try again. Once you have it working, the next step is to select C18 and use the fill handle to copy the formula down to C27. Now you should have the yes counts for all habits across all months. Nice. Let's focus on getting the no counts next. Select cell C18 and select the formula text and copy using Ctrl-C. Then select cell C31, place your cursor in the formula bar, and paste the formula text using Ctrl-V. Now in the formula, you want to change the column letter of each reference from C to D. So you want Jan D20, Feb D20, Mar D20, etc. And once you're done with the changes, press Enter to submit the formula. Now you just need to use the fill handle to copy the formula down to cell C40. Awesome. From here, we just need to calculate the totals for yes and no. Let's start with cell C28. Select this cell and enter the following formula. Equals sum function C18 through C27, close parentheses, and enter. You can also use Control B to bold the text since it's a total. Now, just use the fill handle to copy this formula to cell N28. Then, use Control C to copy, select C41, and use Control V to paste. Nice. Go ahead and select cell O18 next, and enter the following formula. Equals sum function C18 through N18, close parentheses, and enter. Bold the font with Control B, then copy the formula down with the fill handle. Use Control C to copy, select O31, and use Control V to paste. Fantastic, we are finished with the totals. Now let's add in the listed habits. Select cell B31 and enter the following formula. Equals, then select the Setup tab, select cell B5, and press Enter. Now, just use the fill handle to copy the formula down to cell B40. From here, reselect cell B31, select the formula text in the formula bar, then use Control C to copy. Select cell B18, place your cursor in the formula bar, use Control V to paste, and press Enter. Then select cell B5, place your cursor in the formula bar, use Control V to paste, and press Enter. Now select B18 and use the fill handle to copy the formula down to B27. Then select B5 and use the fill handle to copy the formula down to B14. Nice. Now we just need those percentages. Go ahead and select cell C5 and enter the following formula. Equals, if error function, C18 divided by, open parentheses, C18 plus C31, close parentheses, comma, 0, close parentheses, enter. We include the if error function so we don't get a division by 0 error when no data is logged. That said, use the fill handle to copy the formula down to C15. Then, copy these formulas over to cell N15. Finally, select N5 through N14 and copy these formulas over to column O. Awesome. To complete the table, select the range C5 through O15 and click this button to change the number format to %. You can then use this button to remove the decimal places. Sweet. Now, before we finish our final calculations, we need to set up the dashboard page. So, navigate to Sheet 1 and rename this tab to Dashboard. Then, in cell B1, type in Dashboard. And from here, let's add a light gray background to the dashboard page. We can do this by clicking here to select all of the cells, then hold the Control key and select row 1 to deselect it. Then click on the fill color button and apply a light gray fill color. Awesome. Now we're going to create the month selection and the habit selection that we will use to complete the summary page. To do this, select cell B3, bold the text, and add the fill color white. Next, go to Data, Data Validation. Then, in the panel on the right, click on Add Rule. Under Criteria, select Drop-down from a range, click on the Select Data Range button, navigate back to the Summary tab, select C4 through N4, then click OK. And back in the panel on the right, scroll down, click Advanced Options, then under Display Style, select Arrow, then click on Done. And if we move back to the Dashboard tab, we get a drop-down list for the month in cell B3. Now for the habit list. Select cell F3, bold the text, add a white fill color, then go to Data, Data Validation. Then in the panel on the right, click on Add Rule. Under Criteria, select Drop Down from Arrange, click on the Select Data Range button, navigate to the Setup tab, select B5 through B14, then click OK. And back in the panel on the right, scroll down, click Advanced Options, under Display Style, select Arrow, then click on Done, and we can close the panel on the right. Now, if we move back to the Dashboard tab, we get a drop-down list for the habits in cell F3. From here, we're going to go ahead and create two range names for these two selections to make it easier to reference these cells in formulas that we are going to add to the summary page. Let's start with the month. Select cell B3 and then click up here in the name box and type in the name -month. And be sure not to put any spaces because range names do not allow spaces to be used. Then once you've finished typing, press Enter on your keyboard. Now for the habit. Select cell F3, then click up here in the name box, type in the name -habit, and press Enter. We have now created our two range names, and we can view these range names by clicking on this down arrow here in the name box. And here are the two ranges that we just created. Awesome. At this point, let's move back to the summary page to finish our last few formulas. Let's begin by selecting Q5 and enter the following formula. Equals, if function is blank function, dash month, which is one of the range names that we created, then close parentheses, comma, select O5, comma, index function, select C5 through N5, comma, 1, comma, xmatch function, dash month, comma, C4 through N4, then press F4 to make this an absolute reference. Then close parentheses 3 times and press Enter. From here, you can use the fill handle to copy the formula down to cell Q14. Great, 2 more formulas to go. For the next one, select cell S5 and enter the following. Equals, transpose function, select C4 through N4, close parentheses, and enter. Nice, 1 more to go. For this last formula, select cell T5 and enter the following. Equals, transpose function, if function is blank function, dash habit, close parentheses, comma, select C15 through N15, comma, index function, select C5 through N14, comma, xmatch function, dash habit, comma, select B5 through B14, close parentheses, comma, then close parentheses 3 more times, and enter. Now, be sure that you don't forget this last comma right here. Otherwise, your formula will not work correctly. That said, we are now done with all of the formulas on the summary page. Woohoo! Now, all that's left is to complete the dashboard page. So go ahead and navigate back to the dashboard worksheet. Let's start with the first chart that's going to show us the performance of each habit based on the selected month. To do this, select the range B5 through D5, bold the text, add a white fill color, and then click on the Borders button. Change the border width to slightly thicker, then select light gray for the border color. From here, apply the border on the bottom. Next, select cell B5, type in habit, then in cell C5, type in %, and in D5, type in chart. Nice. 2 more cosmetic things before we add the formulas. First, select all of the cells in the worksheet and change the horizontal alignment to left. Then select the range B6 through D15, add a white fill color, and change the font color to purple. Now with the formulas. Starting in cell B6, enter the following formula. Equals, click on the Setup tab, select cell B5, and press Enter. Then use the fill handle to copy the formula down. Next, select cell C6 and enter the formula, equals, click the Summary tab, select cell Q5, and press Enter. Then use the fill handle to copy the formula down. Finally, select cell D6 and enter the following formula, equals, sparkline function, C6, comma, open bracket, quote, chart type, quote, comma, quote, bar, quote, semicolon, quote, max, quote, comma, 1, semicolon, quote, color 1, quote, comma, quote, hashtag 674EA7, quote, close bracket, close parentheses, and enter. Now, once you finish this formula, the cell will still appear blank, and that's because the % value in cell C6 is 0. Once this percentage becomes greater than 0, you will start to see the chart, but for now, it should appear blank. Once this percentage becomes greater than 0, you will start to see the chart. Okay, now we have just one more chart to create. We want to create a column chart that will display the percentage of a selected habit for each month. To create this chart, move back to the Summary tab. Once there, select the range S4 through T16, and then click this button to create a chart. Now on the chart, click the 3 dots here and select Copy Chart. Then move back to the dashboard page and use Ctrl-V to paste. Then go back to the Summary page, delete the chart there, and move back to the dashboard page. Okay, now we need to customize the chart. To do this, select the chart, click on the 3 dots, and select Edit Chart. In the panel on the right, change the chart type to Column Chart. Click on Customize, and under Chart Style, change the border color to None. Then, under Chart and Axis Titles, change the title of the chart to Yearly Habit Performance. Also, change the alignment of the title to Center. Next, click on Series and change the fill color to purple. Lastly, click on Grid Lines and Ticks and uncheck Major Grid Lines. Then, select the Y-axis label on the chart and delete it, and select the X-axis label next and delete it. And finally, close the panel on the right. And now you just resize the chart to how you want it to look, and you are finally finished with the habit tracker in Google Sheets. Now you can start tracking your habit data over time And once you have some data in there, you will be able to see all of the results right on the dashboard page. Man, oh man, this was a long one, wasn't it? I hope you had a blast building this template even though it took so long, and I also hope that you learned a ton of stuff along the way as well. Thank you so much for sticking with me throughout this whole experience, and leave a comment or subscribe if you enjoyed the content. I really enjoy all of the feedback, and it really helps me make much better videos. With that, thanks again, and I will see you in the next Spreadsheet Life video.